Good evening. I hereby call this September the 12th meeting of the Public Safety Committee to order. Committee members, all of them are present today. We have Councilmember Larson, Councilmember Mundy, Councilmember Burke, and we're also joined by Councilmember Scipio. Items approved at this meeting will move forward for consideration at our September the 19th meeting of the City Council. We have a fairly short agenda today. Before we talk about the agenda, we always like to take this space and thank our police, our fire, and our emergency management departments for the work that you do to keep our community safe. We appreciate you, and we honor you at this time. We have one item on the general agenda. It's a presentation from the fire department talking about their house numbering initiative. Members of the committee, as you know, items on our consent agenda are typically approved with a sweeping motion, unless a member of the council asks an item to be pulled for consideration. Are there any items on consent agenda that should be pulled for consideration at this time? If there are not, I'd entertain a motion. We have a motion?
Second.
It's been properly seconded. All in favor, please vote yes. Opposers, no. The consent agenda is approved unanimously. Item G1, please.
Item G1, presentation on Winston-Salem Fire Department House Numbering Initiative.
Giving some information on this presentation is our Fire Chief, Chief Mayo. Thank you for being here today, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, good afternoon to you, members of the committee, and Ms. Scipio. Upon request of Councilmember Monday, there's no A in there, Councilmember Monday, he asked us to look at developing a program where we could furnish address numbers that meet city code to residents free of charge. So thanks to the work of Community Relations Specialist Ms. Tabitha Childress, who is with us here today, we have done that. So beginning in October, so this will coincide with Fire Prevention Month, we will kick off a program to provide free reflective address numbers to city residents living in single-family housing. The numbers will be mailed, and requests can be made either online or via telephone. And Ms. Childress is working with the marketing department. We'll saturate the market with all of our all available channels beginning in October to make residents aware of this. This is an information item, and since it is, I thought I would share some information about what city code requires related to addressing. So it must be Arabic numerals, no less than 4 inches high, with a minimum stroke width of 1/2 inch, must be posted within 3 feet of the front entrance and visible from the street. If the house is more than 100 feet from the street, a sign or post displaying the address is also required to be no less than 3.5 feet high and not more than 10 feet from the intersection of the driveway and the street. Numbers and letters must be a color that contrasts with the background. This ordinance is enforced by community development, and there are some exceptions for certain structures in Old Salem and Bethabara. I will take any questions you or anybody else has, sir.
Any questions for Chief Mayo? Councilmember Mundy.
No questions. Thank you for the presentation. I just want to make a couple of comments as to how this came to light. One of my citizens informed me that Lexington, the city of Lexington, had done this for citizens who couldn't afford to buy letters, so or rather numbers. So we thought it would be a good thing for us to do. And instead of just limiting to a need-based financial situation, anyone who needs numbers, we can provide that. It benefits the fire department, the police department, because they can find things easily. Delivery people, Domino's will probably thank us.
Thank you. I didn't realize I was not on. Domino's will probably thank us, along with the fire department and police department, for being able to find these. And when I talked to Ms. Childress, she also said that the fire department looks for opportunities to go into homes to check fire alarms and to develop relationships with people, particularly in those neighborhoods that don't have as much fire knowledge or fire prevention knowledge. So we thought this would work to our advantage in that sense as well. So I'm really happy to see that you all have followed up on this.
Thank you for the comments, Councilmember Mundy. Councilmember Scipio.
This is interesting. I think my house numbers are out of code, so I better asked for my numbers to be bigger and reflective from the city, from the street.
We can get you squared away.
But is it for just owner occupied, or what are we doing? Because almost 61% of our households in our qualified census tracts are rented.
So the way it is written currently, it is for residents in the city as long as they're in single-family housing. So we would not differentiate between owner or tenant occupied.
But people would have to request for them,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did I hear we're going to put it on social media? Are we also, I know once we agree with the redistricting for wards, we're going to actually be sending out a postcard of some kind to everyone, telling them who their representative is. Can we, at that time, include this kind of designation on the card so that people with assurance have notification of it?
I don't see why, I'm sort of speaking for other departments, but I don't see why we could not use mailers that we are already sending out, utility bills, et cetera, to advertise this. You know, I don't expect that we're going to be putting in front of people every day, but we are going to remind them that the program exists, much like we do with smoke alarms and car seat checks and various other programs that we provide to the community. We market them routinely.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Chief Mayo? Chief, it looks like the committee is in support of the proposal. We appreciate you taking the time to pull it together for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a good evening.
Well, before you sit down, I do want to make the best use of your time. That definitely concludes our consent and general agendas. I know Councilmember Larson had a couple of questions regarding the fire truck apparatuses, and if you don't mind, I'll just turn the floor over to him and see if we can't get a quick discussion going.
Thank you, Chief. While we have your attention, I did bring it up in finance, but I thought it'd be useful in public safety as well to announce that we are getting 2 wonderful new pieces of equipment for firefighting in the city, a ladder truck and a pumper truck, which we hope will be online within maybe a year or so. We hope. Anyway, I thought maybe, in one of these trucks that's being replaced is a 20-some-year-old ladder truck, I believe, was 20 years old now, and everything has over 150,000 miles on it, and well served us well. And I think it's important that the public know that we are continually looking at ways to upgrade our equipment to provide first-class firefighting in this city, and I want to thank you for that. Is
Yes.
there anything you want to talk about these trucks? Do we get like bells and whistles that got GPS on them or anything?
We make a concerted effort at not getting excessive with bells and whistles because bells and whistles cost money. There are a lot of and I didn't mention this in finance, so this ladder will replace the one that is at Station 14, which was about 3 parcels off University Parkway on Chatelaine. It's the fire station that a lot of people know as Chatelaine East. But a surprising amount of the cost of a custom fire truck is meeting the National Fire Protection Association standards that I'm not going to bury you in the weeds of. But outside of that, we try to not get carried away with a lot of unnecessary things on a fire truck that rarely get used and require a lot of maintenance and add to the expense of a fire truck.
Where's the pumper going?
The engine's going to 16 down off Pope Road. So that'll be in your ward.
What kind of great stuff are we going to get in 13?
13, when it goes in service, they will be on a reserve, but one of the engines that we have coming down the assembly line now will go to 13, so they will have a new engine in there when we take delivery of it.
It's great. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
I could have one other comment.
Mr. Larson has the floor.
I'm going to take privilege here, and I want to introduce a new chief for District 3, who happens to be with us tonight. Captain Lovejoy, could you stand up? And I appreciate you taking command of that district, and we look forward to working with you. I think I speak for Councilmember Monday as well, who I think you also serve. I don't know whether he goes into your district or not. Are you part of District 3? Not really. Oh, too bad. Sorry to hear that. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome, Captain. Thank you. I'd like to recognize Assistant City Manager Patrice Toney for some comments.
Good evening, Chairman Taylor and members of the Public Safety Committee and CPO. I also just want to echo the great work of the police and fire and emergency management team. But at this time, I would like for Chief Thompson to come forward. She has made some promotional opportunities within the police department, and she's setting us up for a good future going forward. And so I'd like for her to recognize some of her recent promotions.
Chief Thompson, you have the floor, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Larson, members of committee, I am extremely honored and privileged to stand before you and introduce to you the newest members of our command staff. We are going through some reorganization in the department. And we're looking forward to the onboarding of the permanent location for our real-time crime center. So we're super excited about that and all that goes along with it. And we're extremely grateful for your support to get us to this point. With that, I'd like to introduce to you Assistant Chief Jose Gomez.
You're here.
Assistant Chief Michael Cardwell. Captain Michelle Lovejoy. I have to run a little faster to keep up with Councilmember Larson.
He tried to steal your thunder, but you got it back.
And Captain Crystal Pritchard. Again, I am certainly beyond hopeful. Definitely believe that this is the team that will move our agency forward, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Thinking just off the patrol side. And also Captain George Jenkins.
Okay.
Captain Jenkins.
I'm sorry, Captain Jenkins. I'd like to just mention to you that both Chief Gomez and Captain Jenkins grew up from young ones with our agency. And by that, I mean Captain Jenkins was a member of our police corps that we had back years ago in the early 2000s when the state of North Carolina would pay for police applicants to go through basic law enforcement training, and then an agency had the opportunity to sponsor that individual. And for our agency, we had the opportunity at that time to sponsor now Captain Jenkins. Also, Assistant Chief Gomez was a cadet with our agency. So again, started really, really young and will be able to retire really, really young as a result. But again, we've been very fortunate to have all of them on board. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chief, and congratulations for putting a good team together, and to all the assistant chiefs and captains who recognized. Thank you for your service. Welcome to the city of Winston-Salem. I know you've been here for a long time, but it's never too much to say thank you and welcome. So we appreciate what you do for the city and for our community. Any other business that should be brought forth for consideration for the good of the order? Seeing no further business, our consent and general agenda items have been completed. I would hereby consider this meeting to be adjourned. Thank you.